On the 2nd of March 2020, President Joko Widodo announced the first two confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Indonesia.
Dua warga Indonesia yang positif terinfeksi virus corona disebut telah melakukan kontak dengan warga negara Jepang.
Indonesia has formed a task force to handle the COVID-19 outbreak. President Joko Widodo says the country is taking the issue seriously. He spoke after the first two cases in the country were confirmed.
The Indonesian government took this as a serious matter from the very beginning. But how? My name is Kelvin Henrich, and you're watching a short video series, A Brand New World, episode 2 of part 1 titled Facing COVID-19, and in this episode, we explore how the country Indonesia faces today's pandemic. When the virus first came to Indonesia, President Joko Widodo took matters into his own hands, and on March 15, he announced a national social distancing measures that encourage working, studying, and worshipping at home, reducing any activity involving a large number of people. Then on March 20, the governor of Jakarta, Indonesia's capital city, declared a state of emergency. He advised offices and entertainment venues such as cinemas, bars, karaoke rooms to remain closed for social distancing measures.
Right. So our school, the timeline for us was that back in January, we were working on the problem. We were aware that this was a growing, developing issue.
That's Mr. Matthew Mann, the academic advisor for all Sekolah Pelita Harapan campuses, an independent school in Indonesia, who was also encouraged to have their students study at home. Here's what he said.
But it wasn't until mid-March, I forget the date, I think it was around 13th or so, that we made the final decision to switch to home learning. We canceled a couple of international trips at the time. And we did all that, Kelvin, before any other schools were making those decisions, before government made the decision. And that was arising because of our parents' interest, really keen parental anxiety about the situation, and our desire, our growing sense that this was big and getting bigger.
As of the 17th of November, Indonesia has more than 470,000 cases, more than 395,000 have recovered, and more than 15,000 deaths. Furthermore, if we take out the number of deaths, we can find the percentage of how many people have recovered from COVID-19 in Indonesia. Excluding death, we can conclude that around 87% of COVID-19 cases in Indonesia have recovered. This number may be invalid in many ways. For instance, the same people recovered may have tested positive again, but this number still gives a picture of how many people with COVID-19 is actually recovering in Indonesia. Compare this number with other countries and worldwide cases. Let's take Singapore. Excluding deaths, 99.89% cases of COVID-19 in Singapore have recovered. Worldwide, the recovery percentage is 71%. This is an impressive number, but as more and more people test positive, it doesn't guarantee that people will recover. The Indonesian government has worked since the very first cases, but today there are no signs of the number of cases of COVID-19 reducing in Indonesia. The number of cases constantly grows, and the virus continuously spread within the country. To show this growth, the color zone maps were created, which determines the spread of COVID-19 in specific territories or regions. In an article, it was described that this color zone is also useful as a special encoding to determine the number of cases of infection in various regions. These color zones provide data through a choropleth map. It divides regions through color, like this one or this one. Indonesia's government provided data which gives citizens a picture of the growth of COVID-19 in various regions. After reading many articles made by Detik.health, it's concluded there are 5 colors which is given. The first one is green, which can mean many things. It's either no new cases or less transmission of COVID-19, a region which never had COVID-19, or 100% of COVID-19 patients has recovered. The second one is yellow, which means there are fewer risks for the spread of COVID-19 but is still possible, and has lower number for new cases. Third one is orange, which tells us there are relatively many new cases, and there's no spike in the number of cases in a relatively short amount of time. Red tells us that there are many confirmed cases. And the last one is black. The task force handling COVID-19 basically says that it's red or dark green. But this tells us there are also many confirmed cases, but there's a spike in cases each day. To give citizens a better picture, a suggestion is to specifically update these color zone maps every day, which may convince people to stay home when there are many new cases. Let's look into a recent color zone map for East Java. As seen in the map, there are many colors in many regions, and one significant one is the city of Surabaya, which is black. This tells us that Surabaya has a spike in cases each day. Other regions of East Java is red and dark red, and on the left side of the map there's a list of colors and the number of cases. So since Surabaya is black, it tells us that Surabaya has more than around 2,049 cases. We also see across the map that there are also colored pins. On the left side, we see that turquoise tells us how many people are being monitored. Yellow or orange tells us how many people are under surveillance, and red tells us that there are many confirmed cases. So for Surabaya, it tells us that 3,771 people are being monitored, 3,083 people are under surveillance, and it has 2,748 new confirmed cases. From these color zone maps, Indonesia is doing well to provide data and a big picture to its citizens on which regions COVID-19 is spreading, while also taking actions based on them.
So one of the COVID rules, for example, is just changed last week. So until now, it was not possible for any school in what they call the red zones to open for on-campus learning. And now Pat Nadiem has said, no, that's fine. You can, as long as your local government and your parents are supportive, then they don't care. So all of a sudden the rules changed, and now as long as we check off these different boxes, then we have that freedom.
In response to the rapid spread of COVID-19 in Indonesia, the government created PSBB, which is a large-scale social restriction. What is given by the Jakarta Post gives you an image on what Indonesia is implementing with PSBB. In the big picture, they are taking social distancing measures for public transportation, cars, motorcycles, businesses, and many more, to sort of convince people to stay home, therefore limiting the spread. When the PSBB is implemented, there are consequences to those who do not follow these protocols, including social service or a fine.
Authorities in Indonesia have come up with a somewhat radical punishment for people who don't follow those rules about wearing masks.
That's right, Annette. 8 people who were caught leaving their homes without masks in Indonesia were forced to dig graves for coronavirus victims at the public cemetery. Local authorities in East Java said that they only had 3 grave diggers available, so they thought, hey, we might as well put these rule breakers to work. They also say they hope it could really act as a deterrent for future violators of mask-wearing requirements. It is quite a dark story, but it's kind of good food for thought, something that maybe some world leaders should be forced to do.
What has been done in recent months by the Indonesian government like PSBB shows that they are doing their very best to contain and avoid the spread of COVID-19, however the virus still spreads. And in the future, how will we see PSBB affecting Indonesia in its number of cases? And from experiencing this pandemic, how will Indonesia prepare for the next? For more updates on COVID-19 in Indonesia, make sure to check out covid19.go.id. And also follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube for the upcoming full interview with Mr. Matt. Thank you for watching.